Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And boy, oh boy, this thing just keeps on rolling today. So we have another episode here for you guys. So as I said it yesterday in one of our shows, people were asking us, what are we going to be talking about the Lakers? And I said, yes, we're going to continue to talk about the Lakers. Why? Because this season that the Lakers have just finished having is unlike any other season we've seen in the history of NBA, and I would say probably in the history of sports. This Laker team just came off having the worst season in NBA history, the worst by far. The reason it's the worst season in NBA history is given the expectations and how much they underperformed and the level of talent and the amount of trash that was talked all throughout the regular season. It was a total train wreck. Total train wreck. They weren't even good enough to make it into the playoffs. Not even the playoffs, but they're still making headlines. Why? Because now we're dealing with what you call the aftermath, right? Now, we're trying to figure out what really happened now that the dust is settled and this team is gone. And this team is still making headlines because of how they handled, or rather mishandled, the firing of their head coach. Everyone that has an opinion, that has had an opinion on this, seems to be totally disgusted. Everyone with the way that the Lakers handled the firing of their former head coach in Frank Vogel, a guy that just 2 seasons ago helped coach that team to an NBA championship. And one of those people in the media that did not hold back, that was totally, disappointed in how the Lakers handled this, was Reggie Miller. And yesterday, he gave his 2 cents on the Dan Patrick Show. I was able to hear a good amount of that interview on the show there. So what we want to do is play some of the comments that Reggie Miller had to make about the Lakers, and we're going to come back here and react to it. So take a listen to some of the things that Reggie Miller had to say about the Lakers and how they handled the firing of Frank Vogel. Take a listen to that.
Start with the news. Frank Vogel's future with the Lakers. Reportedly, he will be fired today. Reg, your thoughts?
First of all, I'm not surprised, but let me just say this. It is absolutely embarrassing and Bush League what the Lakers have done to Frank Vogel. Look, I know that coaches are always the first in front of the firing line. The coaches are always the first to go. But what they did to this man by really attacking his character, his coaching resume, all behind closed doors, where there's other people that should be held at a higher standard for putting this crappy roster together, like Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss, and even LeBron James to a certain degree, to throw Russell Westbrook and Frank Vogel as they're the only issues that was wrong with the Lakers this season is absolutely embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and it's not right. It's not right. Again, coaches come and go, and did Frank Vogel have his flaws? Sure. Was sometimes his falling in love and out of favor with certain players? Yes, I get it. But let's remember one thing. It's only 18 months ago that they won an NBA championship with him at the helm, when they had either the first or second best defensive team in the game. And all of a sudden he can't coach? He can't coach because of the roster. He did not put this roster together. So start talking about those people. That's what's embarrassing, and it's just not right to attack this man's character. It's not. And for him to face the firing squad of the media right after that game, not knowing what his fate is, and for Wojo to report that, and Wojo's just doing his job, which means he's getting sources from someone inside the Lakers organization. There's only so many people that could talk to Wojo that would have that kind of insight. And for him not to know that, it's embarrassing.
You see, it's one thing if I'm saying this on my own, because we have some viewers out there that was, you're just hating. But now this is Reggie Miller, and there are a plethora of other people. I just even heard Richard Jefferson, who works at ESPN. Even he had some strong things, to say about the Lakers. Listen, everybody's saying this. Everybody's saying this because it is a total mess. It is a mess. And my biggest question is this. Why is the Lakers management behaving like this? No, seriously. Why are the Lakers top brass, their management, their executives, why are they doing what they are doing? It is really head scratching. It's like they're unaware of the impact of some of the decisions that they're making. It's like they come up with a decision. They're like, okay, we're going to make this decision. And no one in the room goes, okay, but what would be the public reaction to this particular decision? Like, it's like they don't factor that in. The way that they handled the firing of Frank Vogel, as Reggie Miller said, is a total disaster, and it seemed classless. He's 100% right. You don't handle that situation like that where the coach is finding out via the media the day before he gets fired after the last season of the game to deal with those. It's totally classless, I got to say. It really, really is, and I don't understand why they're doing that. Listen, the Lakers as an organization seem to be in total disarray from top to bottom. We literally don't know who is steering the ship. And this is something that people like Stephen A. Smith and others have said. You have top management making questionable and head-scratching decisions on a daily basis. You have a coalition of players on the roster who seem to be totally clueless as to why this team underperformed last season, or as either they're clueless or they're just being totally dishonest, because Anthony Davis and LeBron James basically came out and said that the reason that they believe that this team underperformed last season was due to injuries, which I think is an embarrassing and laughable and shameful excuse. When you have other teams like the Clippers, who did not have Kawhi Leonard for a single game this season, Paul George only played a third of the season, you have Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., who didn't even play pretty much virtually any games for the Denver Nuggets. Meanwhile, Nikola Jokic was able to take that team to be one of the top teams in the Western Conference. You have all of these teams. You have Joel Embiid, who did not have Ben Simmons for all season long, had to pretty much put that team on his back and carry that team and make him one of the contenders in the Eastern Conference. You have all of these different teams that were able to somehow handle these injuries. Meanwhile, you have the Lakers, who had Russell Westbrook, who was available for 78 of the 82 games. You have LeBron James, who was available for 56 of the 82 games. And yet and still, this team couldn't find a way to win not even 32 games. And at the end of all of that, they end up doing this to their head coach. I mean, let me say this. I think that the next coaching decision that the Lakers are going to make is going to be 100% the wrong one. It's like they're going to have the right answer in front of them, and you know what they're going to do? Let's just be contrarians. Let's just do something unique. Because we're the Lakers and we have to do something, we have to just be different. I think that's literally what's going to happen. Let me tell you this, and this is going to be strong, but I 100% believe it. Listen, I think the fundamental difference between the Lakers and the New York Knicks over the last 20 years is simply this. The Lakers have had Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Pau Gasol, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and the New York Knicks haven't. That's the fundamental difference. The difference between these two organizations is that one organization had a plethora of top of the shelf talent and the greatest coach in all time in Phil Jackson, and the other organization didn't. The New York Knicks are mired in mediocrity because of the decisions that they've been making from top to bottom. Period. And it's caused a lot of free agents to not want to join that team. But the Lakers, if you look at some of the questions that the decisions that they've been making since their late owner passed away, it's really head scratching. Starting from the brother, I think is what is it? I forgot the brother's name, who was making one boneheaded decision after the other. I remember this. How do I know? Because when they had an opportunity to bring back Phil Jackson, and when they got Mike D'Antoni. So they've been doing this for a very long time. The Laker management has been terrible. It's just that they've been able to attract a lot of high top of the shelf players. And that's the reason they've been able to win despite of some of these questionable, dumb decisions that they've been making. Who does this to their coach? I even heard that I think they were owing Jerry West some money, and I think they treated his son poorly or something. I mean, it's like, why are they doing it? Listen, let me tell you this. The Lakers are winning because they have talent, not because they have some of the smartest guys in the room, in my personal opinion. There are other teams out there in the NBA that are smarter organizations. You can look at the Miami Heat. You can look at the Golden State Warriors. You can look at the Los Angeles Clippers, who have a team, if we're talking about from an executive standpoint, they have a team full of savants. and Lawrence Frank and their owner Steve Ballmer and their and one of their advisors and Jerry West. I mean, these are savants in basketball, and of course you have the Milwaukee Bucks, who just built a championship team, and then you have the Lakers. You have the Lakers, who have just been making one bumbling decision from one day to the next, from one season to the next, and then they did this, and then of course you have a leader on the court who refuses to take any accountability, take any accountability whatsoever. To me, it is a disaster, and Reggie Miller is 100% right. This thing is a clown show at this present moment. It is. But unfortunately, we're all going to keep talking about it, because how can you not talk about it? It's like the Will Smith and Chris Rock incident. How can you not talk about something like it's a train wreck? And that's why people are going to keep talking about it. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think about some of the things that Reggie Miller had to say about the Lakers and the way that they handled the firing of their head coach, or their former head coach, and Frank Vogel? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.